guys. Yeah, welcome back. We're going to talk about some interesting mechanics once again. When it comes to market structure and order types and things like that, David has joined me once again to help out with this Trader's Edge. We started this conversation, I want to say about a week ago, talking about auction mechanisms. We touched on both the Canadian and the U.S. markets as far as auction mechanisms go. Today, we're going to shift our focus over to the European markets. So European markets also have auction mechanisms that start the trading day and also end the trading day with opening and closing auctions. Sean is over at the big board. David's going to take the questions today.
Yeah, Sean.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Sean, so how many European markets have this auction mechanism, and do some of these markets different from other ones?
To answer your first question, I'm actually not sure how many have auction mechanism. There's so many markets in Europe. From what I know, most of the European markets, especially the big guys that we trade, talking about the DAX, Dutch Bourse, we talk about Euronext, they all have it. Milan also has it. LSE has it. So many of the major ones and all the Nordic markets have them as well. So I'm going to say pretty much all. There may be some small ones, David, that do not, but everything that's on our P-Pro-A platform as far as Europe pretty much has auctions, and you can see that by our market guides, and you can search a lot of this. I got to give credit over here to Reuters for this chart here. We didn't make this up, so we'll throw it to Reuters right here on credit, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Guys, in the last year, European auctions have accounted for roughly 20% of days volume in Europe. That is monstrous when you consider that a lot of us day traders looking to execute during the day. The fact of the matter is 20% on closing auctions alone have been affected here in European markets. And just so you can see, we go back here, this is back down to 2016. You're looking at, and again, this is closing auctions, guys. We're around 10 to 15%, averaging, starting to bump up here as you go. And now we're talking about, this only goes to July, but you can see breaking over 20 to 25% of closing of daily volume being done at European close, guys. A lot of this has to do with tighter regulation. We talk about MiFID II. What this has done has increased trading costs. So it's increased costs to day traders like us. It has also increased with these increased regulations, giving costs to institutions. So instead of sitting there and putting trades on the open market, what's happening is they're taking a little bit of anonymity and throwing their orders into the closing auction, paying what you're going to see soon is still large fees, but they're not having to worry about the risk of intraday trading. I made some marks here as well. When you see big orders sitting, so if you're trying to do a block of 100,000 shares, 200,000 shares in some of these names like Volkswagen or BMW, you can right away affect the price of a stock just by posting your order, let alone sending out market orders. Again, with the new regulations in place, costs have soared. We don't have the same routing abilities in the European markets that we do over in North America. So a lot of these big institutions are simply, guys, not taking risk of trying to execute trades, paying a lot of these fees in the open market, so they are throwing these into the auctions. Look, you asked about which markets have auctions and which ones do closing auctions. The CAC 40 is the big guy. They can do anywhere between 30 to 40%, especially in the last couple months, on closing auctions. So if you're trading in Paris, look to throw possibly some of your trades into the auctions. We do have a few charts coming up later on to highlight exactly some of the moves that can happen in these markets. But again, guys, a lot of this increase in volume, I mean, you can see it's quite dramatic, 10%. When you get over a double in a couple years of trading patterns, that's just monstrous. And so we are seeing these in Europe. And again, I know our floor, we're not going to give away any, trade secrets here, but there are a lot of traders that do throw orders into the closing auction. So if I were you guys, definitely research some of the impacts these have. And I'm really glad, like Brendan mentioned, we talked about auctions in North America. Europe, guys, a major, major part of the story for trading over here.
Yeah, and we touched on it a little bit as far as the LSE goes with our good friend Scott Bradley, who joined us yesterday for the second time. So, just emphasizing the fact, guys, that there's so much liquidity available here in the, specifically the closing auctions, that we can, take advantage of. Look into where these prints are coming each day. Definitely opportunities available. David.
Absolutely. Sean, next question for you. So with all this volume coming at the closing auction, who really benefits from it?
Not us, but who's benefiting from us? What a surprise, who's benefiting from this? The exchanges, guys. You can see here, if you look at our fee table for sure, if your brokerage isn't charging extra for you to take advantage of the auction, then I think that you should be taking advantage of that for sure. Look, guys, all of this volume, someone has to make the money here, and because there is less trading happening in the middle of the day, we just talked about that a couple minutes ago, we look to see, okay, so I want to participate in the closing auction. What are my fees? Are there any fees on top? Sometimes we even get stocks like when we trade in North America, the TSX even caps the fee. Not in Europe, they're going the opposite way. Let's take a quick look. I don't want to go off the screen here, but I think I might, so we'll stay on here. But gateway fee, let's go this way so we can just talk about this row first. You can see the gateway fee in the regular session for Euronext, 0.85 basis points. We talk about what a basis point is. It's just a simple calculation here, 0.001 times share times price. So you have 85 basis points. That's an add or remove fee, right? They do not do a maker-taker model here in Europe when we're talking about the main exchanges. That's why we go over to our friend Scott Bradley there on Turquoise, giving a little bit of a rebate. Shout out there. You can see going back, Dutch Bourse here, that's the DAX. They charge 0.5, so a little bit more reasonable as far as intraday trading is concerned on the DAX. But then we move over to David's question, who's benefiting and why? Look at what they do, guys, for the closing auction. Very, very simple here. They go an extra 0.2 basis points. So they say, hey, look, you want to participate in this trend, pay up, right? They're going to charge you an extra 0.2. Then this is a small one, but you get a little 82-cent euros per fill there. Put that in the pocket of the broker. You can see right here, look at this. This by far is the most shocking fee that I was able to find. They tack on an extra 0.85 basis points for the fill. So Germany, again, we'll switch back over. They have much more competitive fees in the middle of the day as compared to Euronext, but you add that up, guys, you're 1.3 basis points, so you got to go on top, right? So you go 0.5 plus 0.85, so that's 1.35, very now similar to this Euronext fill, which actually is only 0.85, and you add down 0.2. So to answer your question, David, quite clear. I don't have any numbers. I mean, we can speak to the exchanges about this, but right here you could see this is who benefits. But when the next couple of slides come after the next question, you'll see that there are advantageous trading opportunities for traders. So sometimes worth paying this, but notice big jumps, guys, double the fee, more than double the fee over there in the DAX.
So obviously, all kinds of opportunity when it comes to liquidity, all kinds of opportunity when it comes to volume. Now we know how much it's going to cost us to participate in some of these auctions. The next thing we have to kind of tackle here is how are we getting involved and how do these auctions work? So take it away, David.
Yeah, Sean, so what are the mechanics of the markets in Europe? So you're talking about the Euronext, the DAX being slightly different from each other. So what are the mechanics of these auctions, and are some of these markets different from others?
Okay, so a few different questions there. We'll talk quickly, briefly about what happens here when you're looking to participate in an auction. The mechanics, though, are all very simple. You do get a closing market when it closes, and I guess it's going to be closing in 10 seconds. How odd that is, but you get to throw now your orders into the closing auction after 11:30, and then you do get a print anytime after 11:35. But just for those of you, you can check out our market guides if you are on the PProA platform, or again, talk to your broker if you are not. But look at this, regular trading hours, of course, this is all dependent on where you're located, but 9 to 17:30, so you get a little extra half hour here of market trading. Valid for auction orders orders can be sent anytime. No closing orders will be matched or anything like that until that final trade happens at 35. So we talk about 17.35. So we move over here. This is what happens. You get to put your orders in. So right now, throw those orders in. Notice this though, get them in before 35. You got to give them at least 15 seconds to start matching. So that's a very key point there. You'll be able to see that again on our market guides. You put it into the central ordering book, then they match up. I mean, we have no idea where the price is going to go. There is no imbalance locator for anything like this that you can view before. So you sort of got to do some research on where you're thinking the prints are going to come. And as you can see, it's actually the same for both. You have Euronext and Dutch Bourse. Same rules for both. Orders may not be modified or canceled, and no orders will be matched during this period. But it is order acceptance time, right? So you send your order to the broker, and you don't send it to Turquoise, you don't send it to Chi-X, you don't send it to BATS, you send it to the exchanges themselves, and they will handle the matching of those. Let's break down one more slide here, if we can. Nikki, throw it to this. This is the most interesting thing. We talked about them being the same. But what I found is, let's just focus on the two main ones. We talked about Euronext now. What is different about Dutch Bourse? You're going to see something kind of cool right here. And I know it's a little hard to see, so I'll kind of switch it over here. There are mini auctions that happen during the day. And this happens at these key times. If you notice by the blue, this is continuous trade. Right, and it's all marked down here. Maybe we can send this out to you guys, you traders here. But the DAX, any of the big stocks that we're looking at, ETFs have a different time period, other German shares and foreign shares. But let's focus on this. Between 1 and 1:02, guys, there are little mini intraday auctions. So if you're an auction house or a big institution looking to gain shares in the middle of the day with minimal market impact, they actually halt trading, guys, for 2 minutes here in Germany. And I knew that, but I wasn't assured of how much volume was going through. We will flip to the next slide in a minute. But as you can see, it's different for ETFs. That's from 110 to 112. If your other German shares not included in many of these major exchanges, probably not ones you're trading, that's between 115 and 117, and then all other foreign shares happening at the same time as that. These are a little bit more minor of auctions, as you can see. But I pulled this right from Dutch Bourse website, so credit to them on that. But again, you can see here, pretty much all continuous trading. Then you go with some small auction eligible times. Bang, 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 bang. And then the main auction happens down here at the close. But if we go to the next slide, this is BMW. And as you can see here, this is the lunchtime break. So look at this, guys. No volume right here, right? This is, again, I tried to adjust the charts here, but you can see this is 1 o'clock to 1:02, just like we talked about. No volume, no trading happening. You do have a break here in the stock, right? So no trading. And then look at this, a little volume spike up here. Boom, the auction happens, and then normal trading resumes. So this is a good example of BMW freezing itself. Remember, this only happens on the DAX when we're looking at the Euronext versus DAX. Does not happen in Euronext. Happens in Germany. You see a break, then an auction open up, guys, at 1:02. The next slide we'll talk about quickly before we go back to the desk here to wrap this thing up. I did want to focus on big time trades going through. You can see here the regular session close here, 3.1 million shares for SAP. The auction print, 760,000 shares. That's 23%, right in line with what we're talking about. Let's go over and actually look at the chart. Look at this, normal volumes, right? SAP, coming into the close. You get a little bit of volume spikes here happening at the close. Not sure what this print was. Looks like it may have been an off print, but you do get a volume spike. Close right here. No volume all day, obviously into the close from 17:30 till 17:35. Brendan and David, kaboom! You get a monster print here accounting for 23% of the volume. And let's just look at the trading strategy as we talked about. This is from yesterday. So we had kind of a muted day in the market, but the market was down a little bit. Look what happens here. The close, 65. Look at the print, guys. 48. So right there, a 17-cent winner on the downside. So although you're paying out of pocket for these shares, we talked about them making tons of money. The Dutch Bourse more than doubles you for this print, but 17 cents on a lot of volume. This is what's happening. A lot of the institutions, especially as we're coming on quarter end, they rebalancing, right? They got to get this final print to start booking in prices. This is what they're doing. They're not taking the risk of intraday trading. They're throwing big, huge block orders into the closing price. They're getting this volume. They're getting this print. This is the price they're booking. So guys, why not? If you're finding trends, a lot of these stocks printing down day after day after day, nothing wrong with assuming that a lot of these institutions are dumping these shares in the closing auction. Very interesting. A lot of trading opportunities. I hope some of you take advantage of this and learn a little bit from this Trader's Edge segment. It's been a fun one, guys.
There you go, guys. Yeah, a little look at European auctions. Just to clarify there, Sean talking about European time, so local times to the European session. You mentioned the 1 to 102 little mini auction there at lunchtime. That's obviously going to be in Europe. So if you're in North America, as we are, depending on your sleep habits, you're probably not going to be awake to participate in that. But the closing auction, yeah, just unbelievable how much liquidity is available. So a little look, guys, at the European auctions, and Euronext obviously covering the entire group of markets under that umbrella. So that is auctions. Trader's Edge for today, guys. Let's have a look at, right on cue here, how European markets close. Let's head over to Nikki.